Hello and welcome to the TalkSPORT YouTube channel. My name is Harry Durham. Let's go through the biggest footballing stories of the day with TalkSPORT Football Reporter Ben Jacobs. Ben, a bit of breaking news this afternoon. It's been reported that Jude Bellingham is back in the England squad for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers against Serbia and Albania. Of course, England have already qualified after beating Latvia last month. The journalists love it, don't they? I mean, the squad announcement isn't until tomorrow, but the journalists always get there first.
Yeah, I think so. Ultimately, it ends the circus from November when Thomas Tuchel didn't select Jude Bellingham for the friendly with Wales and the qualifier against Latvia. But of course, Bellingham wasn't necessarily in prime physical condition. And my understanding is that the England medical staff felt that maybe Xavi Alonso had rushed Bellingham back a little bit too quickly. But as it stands, my understanding is that Jude Bellingham will be back in that England squad, which, as you say, will be named on Friday. The other reason why he was out from the last international break is because Thomas Tuchel wanted to stick with and reward the players who ultimately got that win over Serbia in Belgrade and also saw off Andorra as well. Now England have qualified. You don't need Jude Bellingham, and yet putting him back in the fold shows you that there's no bad blood. And my expectation is still, even though Tuchel won't give any guarantees to any player, regardless of their stature, but I think the feeling is that Jude Bellingham will be on the plane for the 2026 World Cup.
Over to the USA and Washington, D.C. This has been a mad story over the last 24 hours. FIFA President Giani Infantino is set to award Donald Trump the first ever FIFA Peace Prize at the World Cup draw. The new award will be given on December the 5th when the World Cup draw is made. My favourite headline from this whole story is from the Times. Donald Trump didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize, so FIFA invented one instead. Ben, what's going on here?
Well, it's a new prize by FIFA. It's annual, so the recipients will change year on year. And as you say, the inaugural winner is expected to be Donald Trump, although FIFA sources are not confirming that the winner is predefined or picked at this stage. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist, does it, to look at when it's going to be awarded. 5th of December, date of the World Cup draw. Donald Trump is either going to be there or provide some kind of video appearance, and you would think that they'll hand out the award because we know that Gianni Infantino has an incredibly close relationship with Donald Trump. And let's see if it's the only award in inverted commas, because remember when Chelsea came over for the Club World Cup, they had to lift a replica of the trophy because the original one was left in the White House. So I think the World Cup teams will just be hoping that that Jules Rimet trophy is not also in the White House as well, and Trump might find himself with something to lift in both hands. Let's first of all see how the award's defined. The scope is supposed to be FIFA rewarding somebody that promotes peace and unity, but specifically in sport. Infantino may argue what Donald Trump has done to bring the World Cup to America, along, of course, with Canada and Mexico, warrants him getting that award. And it will be a shock if Trump isn't lifting that inaugural FIFA Peace Award. But as I say, at the moment, FIFA are not confirming in advance who the winner is, but it will be a massive surprise if it isn't Donald Trump.
Is there anything in the grounds of sports washing with what's going on here?
Well, it's a different kind of sports washing. Usually with sports washing, we associate it with a country, maybe politically, that are trying to rewrite their history through soft sport. And that was definitely a criticism levied at Qatar, and many would say Saudi Arabia as well. I think those countries would counter and say, we may call it sports washing. They would just say it's their sports strategy to use a big sports event to promote things like tourism and anything else that paints them in a good light. In this case, I don't think there's necessarily a bigger political picture about America trying to redefine its image through the World Cup. But what's clear is that Gianni Infantino is using his relationship with Trump to himself leverage power and influence far more, even, you could argue, than any other FIFA presidents, even powerful ones within the FIFA organization, such as Sepp Blatter. But what Infantino's doing is almost taking his remit outside of FIFA and becoming in many ways a politician and levying FIFA's influence and making the organisation far more powerful than only sport alone. So if there is a sports washing or a soft power at focus, I don't think it's America using FIFA. I think it's FIFA in some ways using America and Trump specifically, and Infantino in particular, therefore moving outside of only sports circles and becoming more and more powerful because he realizes that everybody wants a bit of football and the World Cup. So it's a different kind of sports washing, but it's fascinating. And if Trump wins this award, it will definitely come under scrutiny.
Ben, you did an absolutely fantastic job in an interview with USA national boss Mauricio Pochettino for TalkSport earlier on this week. And if people haven't seen it as well, you'll be able to catch it on air and also on the TalkSport YouTube channel. Poch made a little bit of a joke about the US president, Mr. Trump, didn't he? Because obviously we saw it at the Club World Cup, and you alluded to it there when he was on the stage with Chelsea, and you got the memes from Cole Palmer, and Reece James was there as well, and then Donald Trump sort of got hurried to the back of the stage, but you wanted to stay there and have fun. What is it, for people that haven't heard, what is it that Mauricio Pochettino said about President Trump?
Yeah, well, Trump entered the huddle when Chelsea won the Club World Cup in New York, and he didn't leave. And there's a great image of Cole Palmer, who's relatively short and Trump's tall, and the US president was basically blocking Palmer from the trophy lift, and he looked completely miffed. And then Reece James, who ended up actually hoisting the trophy, said to Trump, "Are you going to stay or are you going to go?" And Trump just decided to be in the huddle. So I asked Mauricio Pochettino, firstly, could America win the World Cup? And he said, we have to believe that. And then I said, if you do lift the Jules Rimet trophy, would you be prepared to have Trump next to you co-lifting the trophy? And he said, absolutely. And I think it's fair to say that Donald Trump will put himself front and center of this World Cup as a personality, not just a president. And whether America win it, Argentina defend it, or hopefully England lift the trophy for the first time since 1966, Trump will be there. He'll be presenting the trophy. And it wouldn't surprise me if, just like at the Club World Cup, he's insistent on staying in that huddle, because if he enjoyed the moment, even though there was some negative headlines after it, and I don't think Trump will care about that, but if he liked the idea of being in the middle of the champions of Chelsea's victory at the Club World Cup, I think he'll do exactly the same thing come the World Cup final, regardless of who the winner is.
Oh, as a neutral, and you're watching it and watching it all unfold. I think I was watching it on Channel 5 over here in the UK, and it was just hilarious. So I think if we could do that back-to-back years with Donald Trump being on the stage, it would actually be funny, because the memes were endless. It was just such a weird moment as a football fan. Ben, you got a little update for us on the new Manchester United Stadium and a link between the iconic San Siro in Milan, which is obviously shared between AC and Inter. What's going on there? What's the link between the two stadiums and two clubs at the moment?
So the San Siro is going to be knocked down and a new stadium built for Inter and Milan. And yesterday, Inter and Milan got permission from the municipality of Milan for a deed of sale. And in layman's terms, that just means they've bought the land and therefore they can start construction on their new stadium. Why this impacts or affects Manchester United, Foster and Partners are the architecture firm tasked with designing the new San Siro, and at the same time, they're working on Manchester United's new stadium as well. So some have suggested that because the San Siro development may get off the ground quicker, Manchester United's regeneration project might actually be slowed. And remember, Jim Ratcliffe has got a super speed timeline. He wants this stadium built from start to finish in 5 years to open in 2030. So some of the Italian press have said San Siro for Foster and Partners, Norman Foster being the main architect and a great friend of Sir Jim Ratcliffe, maybe that is going to be taking up their time and be prioritised over the Trafford regeneration because the project in Milan is more advanced. My understanding is that Foster and Partners are confident that they can do both projects concurrently. 2030 for Manchester United's new stadium is ambitious anyway. So if it gets pushed back by a year or two to 2031 or 2032, then that would still be fast, because 7 years with all the planning permission, the fan engagement, funding it, government liaison, and then actually building it, it takes time. So Manchester United would not be disappointed if it doesn't open in 2030, but that is their ambitious aim. And I'm told that the new stadium that will replace the San Siro for Milan and Inter will not influence the timeline or delay the Manchester United project, even though some have suggested that Foster and partners have got their work cut out to do both.
Hey, listen, it's good for holidaymakers as well, isn't it? Because the first sketches we saw of the new Manchester United Stadium looked like Butlins. So not only are we going to get Butlins Manchester, we're also getting Butlins Milan now as well. Ben Jacobs, thank you so much for your time. Smashed it as always. Please remember, if you're new here, ladies and gents, to subscribe to the TalkSPORT YouTube channel just down below.